Hey guys, this is our last lesson before your quiz on Friday. Once you finish your exit ticket from 2.2, you're going to go ahead and start on this. Remember, if you have questions, you can pause the video, raise your hand, come up and ask me a question, message me on Classcraft. Also remember that I'm going to be checking your notes on the day of the quiz, so make sure all your notes are in order, including these, and that everything you've written down on your notes is what I've written down in the video. Alright, so today we're going to talk about evaluating expressions. So, what is an algebraic expression? An algebraic expression is an expression that contains one or more variables. Now, we've talked about variables before in the translating expressions lesson. We talked about using the variable n or x or d or f to represent a number that we didn't know. To evaluate an algebraic expression with variables, you need to substitute the variables with their given values, then follow, and this is important from lesson 1 of unit 2, order of operations. Or, we've talked about before, PEMDAS. So that order of operations is really important. So let's talk about what evaluating expressions looks like. If you look at number 1, it gives you an expression, 7x minus 2y. But then right here, it tells you what x is equal to and what y is equal to. So what you're going to do is you're going to substitute the value they gave you for x, the value they gave you for y, into the equation, or expression, and then you're going to evaluate it. Now, it's really important that you show your work exactly like I show mine. And there's a reason for this so that we can keep track of everything. If your work doesn't look like mine, I'm not going to give you credit for notes. So, what this looks like, how you set this up. You're just going to write the expression. So I've got 7. Now there's x. I'm going to put a parenthesis around what I'm substituting in for x. So if x is equal to 4, I'm going to put 4 wherever there's an x. Minus 2 times y, which is 3. Now, I'm just going to follow the order of operations and solve. So order of operations, there's no exponents. There is parentheses, but it's multiplying. There's no, so the only thing left to do, because we've got no parentheses, no exponents, is multiplication and division, whichever comes first left to right. I see multiplication here, 7 times 4, 28, minus 2 times 3, which is 6. 28 minus 6 is 22. You're going to box in your answer, and you're done. So like I said, this is going to be kind of hard for some of us because order of operations we struggled with. Now I want you to look at number 2. They give us the expression a squared plus 2b. They tell us that a is equal to 4 and b is equal to 5. So we're going to put a parenthesis around a because we're going to substitute that 4 in. So 4 squared. Now whatever's in this parentheses is squared, so we're going to keep that there, plus 2 parentheses, and then 5 for b. Order of operations, PEMDAS. Parentheses. I've got parentheses. I've also got exponents. We'll have to deal with this first. 4 squared, just as a refresher, 4 squared means 4 times 4, which is 16. So 16 plus 2 times 5. Now, I've done my exponents. I need to deal with my multiplication and division. So 16 plus 2 times 5 is 10. Now I can add and subtract. 16 plus 10 is 26. Box in your answer, and you're done. Now, let's look at number 3. It's very important that you write down everything exactly. Now, sometimes you'll have parentheses inside parentheses. That's okay. So, negative 8 minus b, and in this case, they tell us that b is equal to negative 5. So, I put another parentheses, and I'm going to put negative 5 where I had that b. Notice I've got 2 sets of parentheses. That's okay. It's going to help us keep our work organized so we don't miss anything. Plus 6 times 2. Now I'm going to evaluate according to PEMDAS. So parentheses first. I've got parentheses right here. So I need to take care of what's in here first. So first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this, because this is negative 8 minus negative 5. So that means I'm going to add 5 instead. Plus 6 times 2. Now that I've simplified that a little bit, I can handle what's inside the parentheses. Negative 8 plus 5 gives me negative 3 plus 6 times 2, still following order of operations. Now that all my parentheses are gone, except for where we're multiplying, of course, we're going to deal with exponents. We don't have any exponents. We do have multiplication and division. We do have multiplication, so we're going to go do that first. So 3 plus 6 times 2 is 12. Now we can do addition and subtraction left to right. Left to right, negative 3 plus 12 is 9. Left to right, always left to right. In fact, if it helps you, you can, instead of using PEMDAS, you can call it GIMDAS, where G stands for grouping. If it helps you remember that, so if the parentheses throws you off. So either or works. But whatever you need to do to remind yourself what the order that you're following the operations in. So let's look at number 4. I've got so there's a negative sign in front of this M, so we're going to write that. And what's going to go inside this parentheses is that 6, right? Because we have a 6 there for M squared minus 2 times M, and M is equal to 6, so I'm going to put 6 there. The reason this is negative is because there's a negative out in front of this M. Now, I don't have any more grouping. There's no more grouping. I've got parentheses, but it's multiplication. I do have exponents, so that needs to happen first. Negative 6 squared. Negative 6 in parentheses squared is going to be negative 6 times negative 6. Negative 6 times negative 6 is a positive 36, because a negative times a negative gives me a positive. So 36 minus 2 times 6. Remember, if you notice, I'm really only showing one operation per step, and that's exactly what I expect yours to look like. All our exponents are gone, so now we need to look for multiplication and division, left to right. 36, I've got multiplication here. 2 times 6 is 12 again. Now I just need to do addition and subtraction, left to right. Left to right, 36 minus 12 is 24. Box in your answer, and you're done. Now, don't get freaked out. Fractions look crazy, but they're not. So number 5, we're going to do the same thing. Just don't freak out. Just write things down as you go. Take it one step at a time. So 1/2 times, they've got R plus S. Now they say that R is equal to 19. So I'm going to do 19 plus, notice I've got parentheses right here as well. I put my R in parentheses to let myself know that I've substituted that in. And then S is 7. Like that. Okay? Now PEMDAS, or GIMDAS, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to do grouping first. So 1/2 grouping, I need to deal with what's in here first. So 19 plus 7 is 26. Now that I've done my grouping, I've got no exponents. Now I've got multiplication and division. 1/2 times 26, if you recall from the last unit, is really just 1/2 times 26 over 1, which gives me 26 over 2. And now remember, a fraction has also got a division sign in it. So 26 divided by 2 is 13. And I can't simplify that any further, so that's my final answer. Remember, if you have questions, pause and ask me a question. It's really important that you understand this. This is going to be the basis for the rest of our math. Now looking at number 6, they tell me that x is equal to negative 4 and y is equal to negative 2. It's really important that we watch our negatives and we keep track of them. Use your calculators. So I'm going to write 2 times, in parentheses, x, which is negative 4. Don't forget the negative. Always put what you're substituting in parentheses. Plus negative 4, and they're going to try and confuse you, even though we substituted x in, negative 4 times y, which is negative 2. Now I'm going to do order of operations. I don't have any grouping, I don't have any exponents, but I do have multiplication. So 2, left to right, whichever comes first, multiplication or division-wise. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, plus negative 4 times negative 2 is a negative times a positive, so that's a positive 8. Now, negative 8 plus 8 gives me 0. So it looks hard, but it's really not. Now, let's look at number 7. They've got r cubed, so I'm going to put the 6 in parentheses for r, and I'm going to keep that little cube. Don't forget your exponents up here, that they're still up there. Plus r, so 6 again in parentheses, squared. Now I don't have any grouping, but I do have exponents. Remember, cubed means, so if I say 6 cubed, what that means is 6 times 6 times 6. And remember, 6 squared means 6 times 6. So 2, and I need to evaluate exponents first, times 6 cubed is, if you use your calculator, 216, plus 6 squared, which is 36. I don't have any more exponents, so now I need to do multiplication and division. 2 times 216 is 432, plus 36. Now I can do my addition and subtraction. 432 plus 36 is 468. Box your answer in, and you're good to go. We're not doing anything crazy new math-wise. It's just a matter of we're learning how to evaluate and simplify expressions. All right, so number 8, we've got 3 times a. A, remember, pay attention to your negatives, is negative 4 squared. Remember, your work should look just like mine. When you do your independent practice problems, they need to look just like mine. Your work, you need to be when you substitute a variable in, make sure you're putting the parentheses around it. So 3 times negative 4 squared minus a, so negative 4 again, in parentheses, times b, which is negative 3. All right, I don't have any grouping, but I do have exponents, so I'm going to deal with those first. So 3, so negative 4 squared, negative 4 squared is negative 4 times negative 4, which gives me a positive 16, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So positive 16 minus negative 4, 3. Okay? Now we're going to do multiplication, left to right. 3 times 16 is 48, minus negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. So now we can just do left to right. 48 minus 12 is equal to 36. Box in your answers and you're good to go. Once again, remember, your work should look just like mine. Now if you flip over to the back page, we're going to work on some more. These look scary, but they're really not that bad. Not that bad at all. Alright? So what we're going to do is take this slowly, one step at a time. I want you to circle number 10, number 12, number 14, and number 16. Okay? Take this one step at a time. So m is equal to negative 8. So we're going to put negative 8 wherever there's an m. So over 2. Remember, keeping our parentheses, 2 times negative m, so negative 8 minus 4. All I've done is written things down. So now I'm just going to take it one step at a time. I need to deal with grouping first, right? So GIMDAS or PEMDAS, whichever you want to call it. Sometimes parentheses can be confusing if you just think about G as meaning grouping. Okay, so I've got negative 8 over 2, but I need to deal with the parentheses first. So remember, inside, when we go back into grouping, PEMDAS starts over. So we have to do multiplication first. So 2 times negative 8 is negative 16 minus 4. We need to keep simplifying our parentheses. Negative 16 minus 4, if you put in your calculator, is negative 20. Now that I've taken care of that, I need to deal with this. This is me multiplying a fraction. Remember, this is just like it's over 1. Now, negative 8 times negative 20 is going to be positive 160 over 2. 160 divided by 2 is equal to 80. So it looks really complicated, but it's not. The most important thing you can do is make sure that you're following the order of operations and just taking it one step at a time. Now here they try and get you by doing 3 variables, and that's okay. I'm going to show you how to do that. So negative 5 times a, which is 2, plus 2 times a times b, so 2 times b is negative 1 minus c, which is negative 5. Remember, I'm putting everything I substituted in parentheses, so I don't lose anything. I need to deal with my grouping first. So everything in parentheses. So 2 times negative 1, that's negative 2, minus negative 5. Negative 5 times 2 plus 2 times negative 2 minus 5, negative 5 is really negative 2 plus 5, and you can use your calculator. So negative 2 plus 5, so negative 5 times 2 plus 2 times negative 2 plus 5. Negative 2 plus 5 is positive 3. Now I'm just going to do my multiplication. So negative 5 times 2 is negative 10, plus 2 times 3 is 6. Negative 10 plus 6 is negative 4. Box that in, and you're good to go. Now if you look at 13, we're going to do the same thing we did before. Don't freak out about the numerator and denominator. So I've got 8 times 2 for x, because that's what x is, squared, times y on the top, so negative 3, all over 4 times 2, or 4x, on the bottom. So remember, we're going to do PEMDAS on the numerator and the denominator. I'm going to simplify them together first, and then I'll deal with them deal with the fraction at the end. So I've got exponents here. So 8, 2 squared is 2 times 2, so 4 times negative 3, all over 4 times 2. I keep simplifying. 8 times 4 is 32 times negative 3. Remember, doing left to right. 4 times 2 is 8 on the bottom. 32 times negative 3 is negative 96 divided by 8. So in your calculator, what I would do, or in your my calculator, what I'm going to do, I take negative 96, I'm going to divide it by 8. And when I press enter, I should get negative 12, excuse me, not negative 17, negative 12, which is my answer, negative 12. Nice and easy. Now, number 15. One step at a time. The only way you get better at these is practice. So negative 2 times a. A is equal to 8, so I'm going to put 8 wherever there's an a. Times b. B is negative 4. And on the bottom, I've got a, so 8 in parentheses, plus b, which is negative 4. Now I'm just going to follow my order of operations. Negative 2 times 8 is negative 16 times negative 4. I'm taking things one step at a time. So 8 plus negative 4. 16 times negative 4, if you use your calculator, so 16 times negative 4 gives me negative 64. So negative 64 over 8 plus negative 4. Keep going. Now I need to simplify the denominator. 8 plus negative 4 is 4. 64, or excuse me, negative 64. Negative 64 divided by 4 gives me negative 16. And that's my answer. Alright, now what you need to do is 10, 12, 14, and 16. When you're done, I want you to have me come initial and check your work to make sure you're doing it right. After that, you'll have an exit ticket, and once you complete your exit ticket, you can have free time or start studying for your quiz on Friday. Really take the time to practice with these. These are hard. These are hard. They're harder than usual. Alright, so if you have any questions, make sure you ask. And have a great day, guys. See you in a little bit.